sorcery. So if there's going to be any matchup where this card shines, it's going to be against Esper Dragons.
If Tom does get the opportunity to play it face down in game number 1 as a morph, I'm sure Brian is probably not going to know what it is. I mean, Brian's a really skilled player, former Grand Prix champion, some very solid Pro Tour results, but Stratus Dancer is not a card that people play.
Yeah, I would probably guess Ash Cloud Phoenix, for example.
Yeah.
Before Stratus Dancer.
I would probably guess Hidden Dragon Slayer.
That's another fine choice. That would be number 2. Stratus Dancer would be pretty far down the list.
So maybe the morph mechanic actually plays a role in things here. You see both players are going to keep their opening hands. DeMars starts off with the Dismal Backwater. That's why he's at 21. For Tom Ross, he's got a Temple of Triumph. He's got to figure out what he wants to do with this top card with the Scry Trigger. That top card going to the bottom. We head to Mars's way. Esper Dragons, a relatively popular choice this weekend as well. Another great deck to combat Green-Red Devotion. Blue to Delta there for DeMars, a Temple Epiphany here for Ross. That top card very quickly goes to the bottom. Much easier decision for the boss that go around. DeMars will take a draw step.
Once again, Legacy Challenge.
A vintage specialist is Brian DeMars, but he is no slouch in more normalized formats, that's for sure. He's just a good Magic player from Michigan.
Limited Grand Prix champ.
Another Dismal Backwater, he's at 22, past that turn back. Flooded Strand. And we go back to DeMars.
Brian, thrilled to be playing a draw-go game here so far.
He likes the control deck.
And being able to just make his lands drops in peace under no disruption, no pressure. Brian's got to like his spot.
Yeah, if you saw the limited deck that he actually won Grand Prix Boston Worcester with, the top 8 deck that he drafted, it was a deck that actually just kind of went through itself twice because he had Elixir of Immortality in there. So he played a very, very long game in the finals of the Grand Prix when he beat Robert Victory there. And he likes to play long games when he's playing Magic. He even looks to play longer-ish games in Vintage, even though it's a pretty fast format.
Concept of a long game in Vintage is already a little odd.
Well, he loves the deck called Steel City Vault in that format, and he likes Mana Drain in that format a lot, too.
I guess Mana Drain facilitates slow games by Vintage standards.
Yeah, slow-ish games.
Turn 3, I guess.
It's actually not as fast a format as people make it out to be.
Yeah, you can actually, the disruption is so good.
Yeah. Brian going to sacrifice the blue to Delta here. At this point, we are just playing draw go, which is a little bit strange.
Well, Tom's got to build up a hand that can play 2 spells in 1 turn or interact in some way that matters. I don't think he can just kind of cast his threats into all these open mana because it's too easy for Brian to go, all right, I'll counter that or I'll use Hero's Downfall, and that's going to get Brian closer and closer to dig through time, and Tom's at least got to keep up the appearances of being able to interact if nothing else.
See if Brian has a card like Anticipate here. It doesn't appear he's playing that card in his deck list this weekend.
And Thoughtseize is a great draw here for Brian because I think he just wants to know what's going on over there more than anything else.
That's what I want to know too. Pick up some information like, hey, what's that morph?
Right.
Now I know that you're playing Stratus Dancer. See the cards here for Ross. He also has a copy of Soulfire Grandmaster, got Rabble Master, a Lightning Strike, a Mountain, and a Battlefield Forge.
This is a really good hand for Brian to see here. Getting the information is valuable. It's threat light. You know, you can take one of the more late game cards like Soulfire Grandmaster or Stratus Dancer and answer the other threats as they come up.
There goes the Stratus Dancer. Soulfire Grandmaster. That's the draw for Ross. If you're time, you gotta start doing something. There's a Rabble Master. That's going to bite the dust. Pile Blight will take care of that before he gets to make a Goblin token. The follow-up will be a Soulfire Grandmaster. We will head back to Mars' way. DeMars going to take a draw step here. Picked up a Swamp. Oh, there's a Haven of the Spirit Dragon. I'll just pass the turn back.
I think Brian's hand's pretty light on action right now. I think it's just a downfall, really.
There's not a lot going on in Brian's hand.
This is one of those spots where Dragon Lord just high could end the game.
Yeah.
If it came up right now, but if Brian doesn't have that or dig through time, he's just kind of trading 1 for 1 in the best case scenario.
The question, of course, is just how much is Tom willing to actually start to play multiple threats. Does he want to just sit behind this one Soulfire Grandmaster? It's not much of a clock. Dig through time with the draw here for DeMars. He'll play a Swamp. The boss is going to activate Soulfire Grandmaster and now play a Lightning Strike. That's going to get hit by a Slumgar Scorn, so no rebuy there.
And I love Tom doing that because that's good enough to get a counterspell out of Brian's hand. But Tom is really playing towards dig through time right now. So if Brian lets it resolve, that's okay. You just keep rinsing, repeating that turn until Brian makes you stop. And if he uses a counterspell, well, that opens up the door for dig through time to resolve.
And Brian has a dig through time of his own. Both players have it. Just curious on when they're going to cast it. Brian not willing to cast his just yet. Dissolve in hand. There's another Haven. Pass that turn back, will DeMars. He's a very patient control player.
And Tom is a very patient aggro player. He's just, as long as Brian's willing to let the game look like this, Tom's not going to make a move.
Yeah, I mean, Tom is the king of picking his spots. DeMars is going to pay full price for this dig through time. He's saying you don't have a card like Mana Leak or anything like that. I don't need to delve my graveyard away, so I don't care. What's 8 mana?
But Tom has played so passively here that I think Brian might suspect that, well, Tom's hand probably just lands or maybe a couple burn spells. Tom's actually been sitting on dig through time here.
And Tom's going to cast a dig through time now as well.
And Brian had Dissolve and the ability to leave up 3 mana. But given what Tom has done over the last couple turns, I think Brian just felt, well, it's just not there. And so just great patience and great sequencing there from Tom. Got Brian to tap out, and now Tom able to resolve his own dig through time.
Now, of course, the question is who finds the better 2 cards in this situation? Tom is choosing between cards like Cordling Outburst, Mantis Rider, Valorous Stance, Stoke the Flames, Lightning Strike. For Brian, he's already resolved his dig through time. Didn't get a great look at the 2 cards he selected, but I think we'll find out here over the course of the next couple of turns who had the better dig through time. Mantis Rider among the options here for Ross. Now we head back to Mars's way. Picked up a copy of Thoughtseize, and that may have been the best draw in his deck. Let's see where Brian wants to start. Looks like he's going to start with just another copy of Dig Through Time. This time he will be delving some cards away. So he's got a lot more to do this turn. So he's going to look at the top 7 cards and take 2 with him.
Yeah, more removal, more life gain. Not sure if he took a dragon. He had the opportunity to do so.
Well, he's found a Dragon Lord Ojutai now, but he's going to fire for Thoughtseize. See exactly what Tom's working with was another Dig Through Time on his side. A Mantis Rider, a Valor Stance, and a Soulfire Grandmaster. I think situations like this favor the Esper Dragons player.
Oh, absolutely. Although this sequencing was a little bit odd on DeMars' side. I guess he wanted to get the full discount on the Dig Through Time. But I would have preferred, I think, for Thoughtseize first. As for example, now Brian has taken Dragon Lord Ojutai, and now he's looking at Valorous Stance. You don't really want to Thoughtseize Valorous Stance out of this hand. If he Thoughtseizes first, maybe he says, okay, Valorous Stance is in the hand. Now I know that Dragon Lord Ojutai isn't nearly as good, and maybe I just find 2 removal spells instead.
Well, now he has to take Valorous Stance because it looks like he wants to go the Dragon route, which does make a lot of sense. It is the best card in his deck. And there is Dragon Lord Ojutai. Ross will take a draw. Looked like he picked up a copy of Ojutai's Command. Be a turn too late here for the boss. We'll see. He certainly got some thinking to do because the pressure's on now.
Yep.
I know it's 25-10 in favor of Tom Ross as far as light holders are concerned, but Dragon Lord Ojutai can swing a game like almost nothing else in this format.
And Brian didn't seem particularly concerned with the other cards in Tom's hand. He was just trying to cut a path here for Dragon Lord Ojutai.
I don't think I'd be too concerned either, honestly. Cards like additional copies of Soulfire Grandmaster, Mantis Rider. I mean, the Dig Through Time is a little scary. but they aren't so scary in Tom's deck. Soulfire Grandmaster, the ability to rebuy a card, very Hanakami-esque, will allow Dig Through Time to come back.
And now Tom is looking at Valorous Stance as one of the cards he gets to take here. Gets the Dig Through Time back for some ways down the line, and has an answer here for Dragon Lord Ojutai next turn.
But he probably has to take a hit this turn.
Yes. But he gets to do it with Stratus Dancer backup here, so Brian needs 2 counter spells.
Never feels good to take a hit.
No.
I feel like with Dragon Lord Ojutai, if you take 2 hits, you probably lose. 1 hit, you're on the cusp of losing. Thoughtseize among the cards that Brian has found. Thoughtseize has been really good for Brian.
Yeah. Every time he's drawn it, it feels like there's some uncertainty with what's going on with Tom's hand. The information is very valuable, and Tom's had 1 card of particular value that Brian's got to hit. It's the 3rd time.
Yeah. In this situation, it feels like it's Valor Stance again. You see the rest of the hand: Ojutai's Command, Soulfire Grandmaster, Stratus Dancer, Mantis Rider, and the Dig Through Time that came back from Soulfire Grandmaster. So Brian will write down the contents of Tom's hand and select a card, of course. Tough to say which one to take.
Not one of the digs, and probably not the Ojutai's Command.
It's strange to say that maybe it's Valor Stance in this situation. I suppose it just depends on how much Brian cares about maybe losing his Dragon Lord Ojutai, or if he has any interest in having a battle over that card.
I think he does. Tom's hand's five spells after a Thoughtseize. You know, it's not like he's run out of action, and even if the Dragon Lord Ojutai dies, Brian is for sure a favorite to win the game. We're not in that kind of spot, so I think Brian definitely wants to protect this card.
There's Foul-Tongue Invocation. There's a dragon on the battlefield, of course. So he'll gain 4 life and go up to 12. Temple will scry the top card to the bottom. And now we head back to Ross with an empty board. Stratus Dancer was the draw. The morph could be anything, as we know.
Could be anything.
Soulfire Grandmaster can only be Soulfire Grandmaster. Here's a Slumgar Scorn. This is interesting play because Brian knows what the morph is.
Yep.
And so he's saying, yeah, if you want to counter this, I don't care.
Well, the thing is, Tom's mana is really tied up. You know, he's got Dig Through Times and another Stratus Dancer in his hand now. So the first reasonable spell that Brian lets him counter, he has to do it just to use his mana efficiently. And I don't know, if your opponent's willing to use a counter spell there, that Stratus Dancer's not getting a lot better.
Yeah. Here's the second hit from the Dragon Lord Ojutai. We believe. I suppose Tom could block, and he's going to. There's Hero's Downfall. Take care of the Soulfire Grandmaster. Brian doing a nice job of keeping this board clean. Dissolve and Slumgar Scorn the cards in hand. They certainly don't make counterspells like they used to, but these 2 counterspells in Brian's hand, they are quite good.
Slumgar Scorn and Dissolve are informative as why they don't make them like they used to.
Yeah.
Because those cards are still plenty awesome.
Yeah. Now Brian gets to pick and choose what matters. That's always the scary part. Ojutai's Command looks like it's going to return Stratus Dancer. Maybe gain a little bit of life. See Brian going to take a look.
I think we're looking at draw a card here and return a creature. Would be my guess.
Brian doesn't want that to happen, so dissolve. Now Mantis Rider. Now beatdowns.
This is another card in this spot that feels like borderline have to counter. I think Brian is going to allow it to resolve, but this is not pleasant for Brian to see either. It's incredible that Tom's hanging around in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I think if I'm Brian, I'm letting that go because I'm doing this, and you have to chump block. So in a way, I take 3 and then I get to kill your creature. So I think I'm okay with that. And Tom has made like a loud stance that I'm not taking another hit from Dragon Lord Ochitai if I don't have to. He took the first hit because he didn't have much of a choice. And then he said, block with Stratus Dancer, block with Manta Strider. I can't allow you to hit me again. It's just too much.
Well, also part of it is he's just trying to set up the dig through times that are in his hand.
Yeah.
So that's the tiebreaker here is getting stuff in his graveyard is valuable for him right now.
A dig, a Stratus Dancer. He'll cast 1. Nope.
It's really painful for Tom there because he just doesn't have a third blue mana.
Yep.
Otherwise, he could have put Stratus Dancer down first and then forced 2 counter spells.
It's screwing up everything he's trying to do.
Yeah.
There's a morph. Slumguard Scorn takes care of that. And now DeMars gets to untap. And now he gets to hit with Dragon Lord Ochitai. Finally for a second time.
Yep.
Dragon Lord Slumgar among the options. I think that's the one he's going to take. It's pretty hard to pass up on that. That's going to come in. Give me that Soulfire Grandmaster, thank you much. Brian will play a Temple. Look at a Dragon Lord Ochitai on top of the deck that he can put to the bottom pretty comfortably, pass the turn back, and dare Tom to have a great draw. Now, Carly Fowler's stance is actually pretty good. Here's Ochitai's command, get back a Stratus Dancer, draw a card. Lightning Strike the draw. Doesn't appear to be a great draw step there for DeMars.
Soulfire Grandmaster is potentially a pretty exciting card for DeMars to have on his side.
It can be.
A lot of goodies over there to loop.
Yep. I think Tom has to seriously consider maybe chump blocking again, but the question now is, can I win if I'm chump blocking?
Yeah, the problem is he can't say block and use Lightning Strike because DeMars has a Haven here, so it's not a solution.
Yeah. Damage going to be dealt. Here's a Temple of Silence. If you're going to draw a land, that one's okay. Hero's Downfall going to stay on top of the deck. Lightning Strike going to go after the Dragon Lord. A momentary solution. Mantis Rider the draw. Yep. Cast. Bash. DeMars going to return the Dragon Lord. Draw his Hero's Downfall. Has enough mana to cast both this turn.
Brian might take a slightly more conservative route here of just looping Hero's Downfall through the Soulfire Grandmaster. He's seen Ochitai's command, and if he just goes, okay, Downfall your creature, try to cast Dragon Lord Ochitai, Tom has Ochitai's command and then finds a removal spell for Dragon Lord Slumguard. It's a game all of a sudden.
It is.
This is a much safer play here from DeMars and one that I like a lot.
It's also kind of cool to watch.
Yeah. Steal your opponent's creature, you might as well use it.
That's true. Dragon Lord Slumguard and Soulfire Grandmaster coming into the red zone. Ochitai's command looks to return a Stratus Dancer and draw a card. Tom maybe hoping he gets the chance to block. Brian with the Hero's Downfall kind of wants to use it to get the Stratus Dancer out of the way, make it a 2-turn clock still, but...
Well, on one side, this card's pretty anemic. On the other side, falling to 6 is not the safest spot to be.
Yep.
If you're going to allow the Stratus Dancer to hit you.
a draw. Just 2 lands. DeMars, of course, going up a little bit because of the lifelink on SoFire Grandmaster, so up to 10. There's a Shivan Reef, and all the boss can do is pass the turn back. DeMars in the driver's seat now. Dragonlord Ochitai, Hero's Downfall in hand. Drew a land for the turn. That's certainly not all that exciting, but we might just see what we saw last turn, which is activate the Grandmaster, cast the Hero's Downfall, clear the road.
I think we're looking at an exactly lethal attack as well.
Yeah, and that's going to do it. Brian Dwyer is going to win game number 1 here over Tom Ross. Esper Dragons up a game here over Jeskai mid-range. As we're only 30 minutes here in the match, these players are going to probably settle in for a pretty long game after sideboard. And that first game was actually pretty long too. So we'll take a look at the sideboards. We'll take a look at Tom's. He's already reaching for it with his 2 Roast, his Narset Transcendent, and Erishan Cleric, 2 Master of the Unseen, 2 Anger of the Gods, an Elspeth Sun's Champion, 3 Disdainful Stroke, and 2 copies of Glare of Heresy.
Yeah, just give me all the late game power there. I think the copies of Mastery Unseen, pretty powerful against DeMars' deck. The 3 copies of Disdainful Stroke are excellent here. I think the Narset Transcendent is very good, and the Elspeth will likely come in.
What do we see on DeMars? I know we saw him a little earlier today.
2 copies of Tastiger, the Golden Thane, 2 copies of Silence the Believers, 4 copies of Ultimate Price, 3 Drown in Sorrow, a Negate, a Dragonlord's Prerogative, 2 copies of Duress. I sort of like the back end of this sideboard, the Negate, the Dragonlord's Prerogative, and the 2 copies of Duress. I could see bringing in Silence the Believers here, though I think it's a bit on the slow side. Ultimate Price, there's going to be some hits and some misses in Tom's deck. There are cards like Soulfire Grandmaster, but Mantis Strider is one of the premier threats. I could see, I would be surprised if the full 4 came in, but if DeMars went up to 1 or 2, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, these players will get ready here for game number 2. We will talk about the Star City Games YouTube page, where among the other things you can do, you can certainly go back and watch the replays of this when it goes up later this week.
Yeah, we have Open Series archives, the archives of the Versus City series videos. After a month, the premium articles also go up into the archives, and there's some content that's exclusive to the YouTube page, like unboxing. So you can head over to youtube.com/StarCityGames, become a subscriber today, check out the archives, and get updates when new stuff gets uploaded to the YouTube page.
You know how much it costs to subscribe?
$0.
Boom, perfect. No reason to say no. youtube.com/StarCityGames for more information about that. See these players continue to sideboard. We'll learn a little bit more about the boss. Of course, we remember 2014, really the year of the boss. 31-year-old who is home now is Roanoke, Virginia.
Yep, has moved over to the Star City Games office to produce content for the website. 3 invitational top 8s, 2 wins, which were back-to-back in Season 2 and Season 3 of last year. 4 Open Series top 8s with a win, a Pro Tour top 8 in Honolulu 2009, and 4 Grand Prix top 8s.
As we mentioned a little bit earlier in the day when we watched Tom play, used to do parkour, can still do backflips. I haven't seen him do a backflip before. I think I might ask later this weekend.
Okay.
I want to see it happen.
It's on the profile page. At that point, it feels like fair game.
Do you think he could do the backflip in the leather coat?
Yeah, I don't imagine that restricts you too much.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know. I don't have much of a gymnastics background.
He's a Mortal Kombat enthusiast specializing in the character Melina, and a 5-time Louisiana State Champion of Magic is the boss. So last year was certainly a banner year for him on the Open Series. Some really impressive Grand Prix finishes, too. Can't forget 2nd place at Grand Prix New Jersey.
Yeah, fell a little bit short at Grand Prix Orlando as well, which we covered, and got to play in the Pro Tour last year, so definitely a big resurgence for Tom.
But I'm gonna get after him about this parkour stuff because I wish. Look, I've always wanted to be able to do parkour.
Okay.
I'm a big fan of breakdancing and choreography in general. Parkour kind of lines up with that.
Are you a fan of the You Got Served movie franchise?
I am a fan of the dancing parts of those movies.
Okay.
Not so much the acting or storyline parts. Mm-hmm. I also like the movie, the franchise Step Up.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking
They're
of.
dope.
It's 2 separate things.
It's 2 separate things. And America's Best Dance Crew.
Okay.
The popular MTV show in the mid-2000s. Fan of all this stuff. So You Think You Can Dance. Very popular show.
Yep. I didn't know if that was a question you were asking me or if that was a show.
Well, do you think you can dance?
Not particularly good.
Okay. I bet you have more ability than you're letting on.
I mean, I'm reasonably coordinated, but I'm not much of a dancer.
So I think I want to see if Tom's got any of those skills kind of hidden away. Tom's skill set, he's a quiet guy.
Yeah, you don't know these things about Tom.
I wouldn't put Tom on, first of all, I would never put Tom on video games.
Really?
I just doesn't seem like, I don't know why, I just don't think, I don't think Mortal Kombat for Tom.
Okay.
I know him and Todd, they just go at it in Mortal Kombat. It's pretty great, actually.
They go at it to a degree that I worry it risks atrophying their magic game. My understanding is a lot of playtesting sessions in Roanoke devolve into Mortal Kombat.
I've heard the same. I've heard the same. They maybe don't draft a good deck in a booster draft. They say, how about we fire up Mortal Kombat? I know Todd was looking for challengers actually at the Invitational 2 weeks ago. He brought the console, whichever he has, PlayStation 4 or Xbox, with him. And he said, hey, anybody want to play, get in touch with me on social media. So he's a bit of a gamer, as is the boss. Two very competitive, skilled Magic players. But only Tom is here right now. You see him start with things with a Mystic Monastery. DeMars played a really nice game one. Those Thoughtseizes were really impressive for him because not all Esper Dragon Sects play Thoughtseize. And he's got 4 copies in his main deck.
And Tom had the tools to try to play a longer game there. You know, he had a lot of copies of Dig Through Time. Soulfire Grandmaster was up to some shenanigans, but Brian eventually overpowered him, and I think that's going to happen more often than not, even when Tom is equipped with his late game cards. He needs to be attacking a little bit earlier in the matchup than he was able to do game one.
Thoughtseize here from DeMars. He's going to go down to 17. 2 from the Thoughtseize, 1 from the Caves of Koilos. A Soulfire Grandmaster, a Goblin Rabble Master, a Valorous Stance, a Stratus Dancer, an Island, and a Flooded Strand. So that's a Rabble Master, a Grandmaster, and a Dancer. That's tough.
Yeah, very synergistic
That's
hand.
that's tough to say.
In terms of, you know, names. It's
Yeah.
very synergistic hand.
It's a little difficult to say.
Come on, Tom, face up. Face up.
Face of Stratus Dancer?
Get into him. Yeah.
There you go.
There we go.
Ask and you shall
That's
receive.
the Tom Ross I know.
Gotta get those beatdowns going.
Yep.
Brian has come prepared with Drown in Sorrow, though.
Yeah, gonna max paint him here. So.
Gonna leave that top card on top. Here's Thoughtseize yet again. Jeez. Hordeling Outburst, the draw. This Thoughtseize is gonna be painful too, but
It's really funny. Brian almost wants to take the uncastable Hordeling Outburst out of the hand, so Tom plays the Rabble Master next turn. He gets it all. The problem is that that's a little too obvious.
yeah,
so
this is a touch.
This is the better way to play it.
If Tom just draw a red source, he'll cast a spell.
Yeah, Brian is definitely thinking in the back of his head, come on, Battlefield Forge. Come on, Battlefield Forge.
It's a Temple of Epiphany, however. This will allow Ross to scry. Top card goes to the bottom very quickly. We head back to Mars's way. He's already 12 because of those Thoughtseizes and a hit from Stratus Dancer. But Thoughtseize has given a lot of information to Mars this game about what he needs to worry about, and it's not very much now.
Looks like removal spells and Dragon Lord Oshitai in Brian's hand here, so he's got all the tools.
Just got to make it that far. Dismal Backwater will allow Brian to gain a life. He's got another Thoughtseize in hand that he's going to cast, it looks like. Yep. This feels like old standard.
Yep. Tom's like, you know what I got, so.
Yep, take the Valorous Stance.
Brian now just hoping for Hordeling Outburst this turn. Ooh.
That was a good draw for Tom Ross. It's a Mantis Rider, which messes up this Drown in Sorrow plan. And DeMars is already so low from these Thoughtseizes, he moves down to 6 now.
Yeah, Brian, that was really the one card that Brian was hoping to not see that turn. Because now he has to play Bioblight this turn, most likely. He takes another hit from the Stratus Dancer, and then it's not safe to tap out for Dragon Lord Oshitai the next turn.
Yeah, this is the maximum punishment. Bioblight does take care of the Mantis Rider.
And look at face-up Stratus Dancer just going to work.
It's at least 2 hits now? Yeah, it's hit twice. It's turn 4 for the boss, I believe. Yeah, turn 4, because DeMars only has 4 lands in play. We're moving into turn 5.
It's going to be the third hit here.
Mm-hmm. Look at you. Look how happy you are.
I think people get too fancy with cards like Stratus Dancer, and it's just fine to be casting it sometimes.
There's Whirling Outburst. 3 Goblin tokens. But I believe we're going to see those get swept away in just a moment, and we do. Drown in Sorrow's going to clear it all up. DeMars looking at a duress, so he's got a lot of discard after sideboard. Here's a Temple of Enlightenment. He'll scry again. Dissolve. I wouldn't want to pass that one up, yeah. Pass the turn back. The boss takes a draw. Soulfire Grandmaster. Not bad. He'll play that with Disdainful Stroke as protection. Dragon Lord Oshitai, absolutely not. Huge draw there for the boss. There's a Polluted Delta. Pass the turn back. Ross will take a draw step. Don't get a great look. Here's an attack for 2. DeMars will go down to 2.
DeMars is down at his ult, though. He's got to have an answer to this turn.
Yeah, and he does not, and that is going to do it. Tom Ross is going to win game number 2 here against Brian DeMars. Jeskai mid-range, Desperate Dragons heading to another one. Part of that because play that Stratus Dancer face up.
Yeah, I mean, that was the whole game. If Tom passes there on turn 2, I think DeMars crushes him. That Drowned Sorrow, it would have been too hard to beat. Tom would have not had enough pressure, but Tom realizing that he just had to get on the offensive there with something, did a lot of damage with that Stratus Dancer, and then some fortuitous draws there. Disdainful Stroke and Soulfire Grandmaster close the game out.
These players are going to go back to the drawing board here, sideboard a little bit since DeMars will be on the play. We'll talk about next level Magic here from Patrick Chapin and really the next level library. He's got 2 books that he has somehow had the time to pen. Not entirely sure when he does that and then writes 6 articles a month that are never short.
No.
Believe you
no.
me.
A lot of words.
He finds some time, and these books aren't small either, but they're really, really good.
Yeah, if you're looking to improve your game, Next Level Magic is available. And if you're looking to improve your deck building, get a better understanding of the philosophical underpinnings of deck building, Next Level Deck Building is available as well. They're for players of all skill levels. Chapin is a master of breaking down complicated concepts into easy to understand forms. And of course, if you're looking to get to the next level of your game, who better than a Hall of Famer Pro Tour champion, 2-time Worlds finalist? Available paperback and ebook right now at StarCityGames.com/nextlevel.
Was that underpinnings? Is that what you said?
Philosophical underpinnings of deck building.
Yes. That
Yes.
was really well said. I have to get credit where credit is due.
Thanks.
You're a wordsmith.
That turn of phrase, picking that one out is, I mean, sure, I guess, but
Oh, I'm sorry.
I do better.
Oh, I'm sorry for complimenting you. I apologize.
Won't make that mistake twice.
Jeez. Guess I'll just always be mean.
Yep,
My
there you go.
apologies.
There you go. That's me in my element. Don't know how to handle praise like that.
Yeah, just remember, can't do anything to keep you happy.
No, this is me happy. That's. I guess that's where our wires get crossed sometimes, you know.
Compliment a guy for his vernacular, no good.
Yeah.
Watch Tom Ross play a turn 2 Stratus Dancer.
Love it.
Yeah, to the moon and back.
Yep. Couldn't be happier. People get too fancy with mobile cards, man. See it all the time. And cast that stuff face up too. No rule against it. Tom's playing it, of course, more for the morph, but in this matchup, he's just got to get stuff on the table and start attacking.
Temple of Deceit is where DeMars started. He's got another one here for turn number 2. The boss just with a Mystic Monastery to kick off his game number 3. DeMars going to leave that card on top, it appears. No Thoughtseize for once here for Brian. Ross drew a Stratus Dancer.
Yes.
Yep. It's about that time, perhaps.
Get him. Ooh, and his hand looks a little land-light. I don't know if he can afford to hold up that Stratus Dancer.
Should probably cast it since he has nothing else to do.
Yeah. You can't say go on turn 2 and then cast that thing face down and not have a 4th land. That's unacceptable. So
Typically, get him is in reference to killing land. He has another play.
This is fine.
Okay.
I'm happier casting this than the Stratus Dancer.
You accept this.
This
on turn
turn.
2. Duress the draw here for DeMars. Urborg the land. Will Duress be the play? It will not be. Nothing doing here for DeMars, excuse me. I think another Stratus Dancer may be in the draw. Here comes the Grandmaster. Ross up to 21. DeMars down to 19. Here is Stratus Dancer. A Temple of Epiphany. The Scry going to go to the bottom pretty quickly there for the boss. Pass the turn back over to DeMars. We do know that DeMars has a copy of Drowned Sorrow in hand. He'll start with a Swamp. Here's a Duress. See, Dig Through Time. A Valorous Stance. Those are the options for Duress. Cards that DeMars cannot take. Soulfire Grandmaster, Stratus Dancer, and Mantis Rider.
Not bad news for Tom. I mean, he does get in, and next turn, assuming that Brian does cast his copy of Drowned Sorrow, goes clear for Mantis Rider for at least 1 hit. And then Brian has to spend another turn responding to that.
Time for DeMars' Scry. Foul Tongue Invocation.
And there's a dragon to pair with it.
Yep.
And since he knows he's going to have to answer Mantis Rider next turn, pretty easy to leave that one on top.
Ochitai's Command. That was the draw for the boss. Looks like he will go towards Mantis Rider. He'll get in his 3 points of damage right now. DeMars knows he's drawing a foul invocation, so he has an answer. The big question, if you're DeMars, do you have land number 5? Going to reveal Dragonlord Slumgar. There goes Mantis Rider. DeMars going to gain 4 life in this exchange. He does not have land number 5. So Ross will take a draw, pick up the planes. Ross has the opportunity here to just play 2 creatures, or he can leave a Vote Command. This is where things actually get pretty interesting, I think.
Well, I think that he wants to cast something this turn, just because Brian does not have white mana. So you don't have to worry about Dragon. It's very unlikely next turn is Dragonlord Ojutai, because it would have to be white mana untapped, which this deck does not have a lot of.
Soulfire Grandmaster and just passing with mana available. Remember, Brian's got a pretty good idea of what's in Tom's hand because of that duress earlier in the game.
But the critical piece of the puzzle here that Brian does not know about is Ojutai's command.
Correct.
And if he draws an untapped land next turn,
here's a dig through time on the upkeep by DeMars.
was able to resolve this dig and then gets nailed by Ojutai's command. Could be a tough sequence.
Take a look at the top 7, and Thoughtseize is among those cards. Gonna slow roll himself a little bit in resolving this dig through time. Now he's got all 7 cards. We'll see. He's happy enough with the cards he can take. There's another dig through time in there. It looks like an Ojutai as well. Going to consult the hand. You see a Hero's Downfall, a Dragonlord Slumgar, and a Slumgar Scorn in hand for DeMars. So he's found his 2 cards. Tom will play a Shivan Reef. And he comes. Not a bad time to maybe morph the old Stratus Dancer.
I kind of like well, I think there's an argument for holding up Ojutai's command, but I guess Brian, if you just say go, Brian goes play a kill spell on your creature most likely.
Say go back.
Say go, and just too painful.
Discard spell. It's a Thoughtseize. Tom wants to protect his hand on more Stratus Dancer. Gets a counter, of course, because of Megamorph. Maybe another discard spell. Yep, here's Thoughtseize again. Ojutai's command and dig through time.
It's not a great hand here for Brian to see. Either Dragonlord Slumgar does not resolve, or he's allowing Tom to resolve dig through time.
And there's a relevant clock on the table.
Yeah, I mean, there's 5 points. Brian can use the downfall in his hand to break up a little bit of it, but it's pretty far away from being able to do anything with counterspell backup.
There goes Ojutai's command. Hero's Downfall will take care of that Stratus Dancer. I think Brian hoping that Tom doesn't draw a land so that he can activate the Grandmaster, dig through time, and rebuy it.
Yep.
That's the hope. DeMars with a dismal backwater off the top. He'll gain a little bit of life. Is it time to dig? It's not.
He's not, the way Tom's played, he's not digging into open mana.
Yep.
He's going to wait for DeMars to tap low.
He can just keep doing this.
Yep.
And he actually drew an Ojutai's command a turn ago, so he's ready for a dragon. DeMars may not be willing to cast a dragon.
Well, he knows that Tom can dig through time in response, and that's so many looks at a counterspell.
So both these players not willing to make a move, but Tom's got the creature in play. So he just keeps on trucking along with Soulfire Grandmaster. Here's another creature. Never mind.
Ooh, that's better than the creature.
That one needs to be taken care of. That's a Master of the Unseen. Revealing Dragonlord Slumgar, so that's a good time for a Slumgar Scorn for Brian
Great
DeMars.
test spell there for Tom, though.
Maybe the best test spell.
Yep. It's 2 mana. It has to be responded to. And Brian, Tom is just trying to get this game to a point where Brian feels he has to cast Dragonlord Slumgar, and Tom can nail him with Ojutai's command.
Here's Drown in Sorrow. It's an answer to Soulfire Grandmaster, finally. Now Brian gets a Scry. Dissolve on top of the deck. That's not a bad find. But Brian's going to Scry that to the bottom. Will the boss play dig through time finally? It appears that he will. You see the way that he's tapped his mana, leaving 1 mana available just in case the Slumgar Scorn works itself into the equation. Though, to be fair, Brian does have a dragon in hand, so...
Right, it's unlikely, but it doesn't cost Tom very much, so...
I'm going to look at a bunch of cards. Mantis Rider among the options. He basically wants to find something that he can play and leave Ochitai's command up.
Exactly.
I think that's the big plan here. So he's very quickly resolved to dig through time.
And Disdainful Stroke is a great draw here for Tom as well, for much the same reason.
Here's Mantis Rider. In for 3. DeMars going to go down to 7. DeMars going to take a draw. It's an island. He'll play Dragon Lord Slumgar because he knows he needs to. Here's Disdainful Stroke. It's getting countered. Ross will take a draw step. Battlefield Forge. Here's an attack for 3. Put DeMars down to 4. Might be comfortable casting Dragon Lord Ochitai right now, and I think this is a good thing because even if Crux of Fate is here, it can only kill one of the creatures.
Yep. I mean, yeah, he's got protection on both sides there.
Yeah, no white mana to cast a Dragon Lord Ochitai, and that is going to do it. Tom Ross going to win this match here over Brian DeMars, 2-1. Jeskai mid-range takes care of Esper Dragons. DeMars will fall down to 5-2, but for the boss, he moves on to 6-1 with his innovative Jeskai deck.
And Tom did a brilliant job of playing around counter spells in that game. And in that match, too, if you go back to game 1, even though it was in a losing effort, he was aware that Dissolve and Slumgar Scorn were cards that Brian might be able to access at various points there, and was willing to concede a degree of efficiency when he was ahead on the board to prevent Brian from doing very much.